In this video, we are going to create our Scratch org and set it as our default org. So whenever we create any Lightning Web components in our Visual Code, we can test it on our Scratch org. Let's start. The first thing we are going to do is move to a desired directory path from the terminal in our Visual Code. So we're going to close this, click on terminal and open a new terminal, and move to our desired path. In this case, I'm moving to documents folder. Now we are going to create our SFDX project. So the namespace is going to be force, the topic is going to be the project, and the category of command is going to be create. /n will be the name, and in this case the name is going to be LWC tutorials. There are two ways of executing this command. The first way is we can simply paste it on our terminal and execute, or we can use the command palette. The command palette is simply Control Shift P, and we type in SFDX and we click on create project over there. So we're going to execute this command in terminal, and we can see that after executing the command we have created our LWC tutorial file and LWC tutorials. The second step is going to be authorizing the DevHub org. So force is our namespace, auth will be our topic, web login is going to be our category of command, A is the alias for the DevHub org, and in this case my alias is Nadeem Fazloon. And we are assigning -d, which is setting the org as a default org. So we're going to copy this command, and before we set this command we are going to click on the file and open folder and select our folder in the documents, LWC tutorials in the documents directory, and we are going to open this folder. We're going to open a new terminal and paste that command here. Once we enter this command, our browser will pop up and ask us to log in to our org. So I'm going to use the custom domain and enter my registered custom domain name. And log in with my credentials. And at this point, Salesforce CLI will ask us to access the dev org, and we will have to allow this in order for us to use Visual Code and upload our LWC components to our org via our source code editor. Once we have allowed access, we successfully get a message on our Visual Code. Now we are going to make changes to our scratch.org configuration file. So that will be in our config folder. We move to our project dash scratch dash def.json file, and we're going to open the file. And after the features, we are going to add one simple line of code, which is has sample data to true. What this means is that if by default the value is false, so whenever we create a scratch-org, in order to have sample data on that scratch-org, we are going to set this value to true, and we're going to put it in our config file. So we're going to open the project dash scratch dash def.json file, put a comma, and after the features, we are going to enter this line of code has sample data is true, and save this file. Next step is we are going to now create our scratch-org. So force is the namespace, org is the topic, and create is our category of command. -a is going to be our alias. And in this case, I am going to name this scratch.org lwc underscore scratch.org underscore 1. And I am going to set this org to default by assigning it -d. So this will become my default org. And the duration that this org is going to be active is going to be 30 days. So I'm going to set the value 30 right after that. And I'm going to give the location of my configuration file, which is in the config folder. I'm going to paste that code here in my terminal and press enter. Now I get a message that I have successfully created my scratch.org, and it has been assigned a username as well. The next step would be setting my scratch.org as my default org. So we can either use the palette and assign it, or we can simply use this terminal command. So since we have the palette, we can explore with that as well. So simple control, all we have to do is press Control Shift and P and a greater than sign and type in sfdx colon and set a default org and select the default org that we had just created, lwc underscore scratch.org underscore 1. And it gives us a signal that the default org has successfully ran. The next step would be to open our scratch.org, and we can use the command palette or we can use the terminal command. The command palette would be to press Ctrl Shift and P and simply type sfdx colon open default org. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to our terminal and we are going to paste this line of code. And now we can see that we have been assigned a scratch arc and the URL address is also different. And our visual code gives us a message saying that we are now in the scratch org. Right. So in the next upcoming tutorial, we are going to look at some sample commands and hopefully begin our first Lightning web component. So I'll catch you guys then.